Okay, so let's put the final touches on our gizmo and then create a menu item for it so that we don't have to keep typing its name every time we want to create the gizmo. And speaking of which, once you've scanned for all of your plugins with the update plugins and gizmos from the other menu, you can also drop down gizmos by hitting tab and starting to type the name. So there we go, despill, unspill color. We'll drop down our gizmo. And I noticed that the user tab is still called user. So let's give that a slightly better name before we move on. I'm going to break this out again, copy to group, get rid of this one, and we'll edit the group. Right click anywhere and manage user knobs. So I'm going to edit the user knob user and change the label here to despill, unspill color, the same as the node. So that should be a little bit more clear about what that tab is meant to do. Done. So let's publish this out to disk again, and then we'll start cleaning up everything on disk. So I'm going to go here, export as gizmo, and I'm going to write over my original gizmo. There it is. Despill, unspill color. I'll save it over that one. So now we've updated and everything's just how we want it to be. Let's start making a menu so that we don't have to type this every time that we want to drop it down. Now to do this, we're going to have to do quite a bit of customization. Nuke uses a couple of files, one called init.py or Python and menu.py to set up all of the menus in Nuke. And one of the great things about that system, even though it's a little bit tedious to set up the init.py and menu.py, is it's incredibly flexible because it's using Python to actually trigger actions when you click the buttons rather than simply having some sort of predefined menu system. You can embed quite a bit of functionality in a menu item. We're just going to create a simple example where we set up a menu entry for the gizmo. First, let's tidy up everything on disk a little bit. I'm going to open up Explorer here and go to my home directory and the .nuke subdirectory inside my home directory. This path is going to be wherever your home directory is for your specific operating system. In Linux, this would be home / the name of your user .nuke. In Mac, it would probably be something similar to that. In Windows, here it is. It's under users / Aaron, in my case, .nuke. And we're going to kind of tidy things up a bit. I've already created a couple of icons you can see here. One for generic gizmo shape and one that is the screen suppress icon. So I want to create a couple of directories to put these in. I'm going to call this one icons, and I'll create another one for gizmos. And I'll put all my custom gizmos that I've created from now on into this gizmos directory. And I'm going to put all my custom icons that I've created into this icons directory. There. Now the .nuke directory in your home directory is already in Nuke's path, which is to say Nuke is aware of it and it is scanning everything in here already. But we've just created a couple of new subdirectories in here that we need to tell Nuke about. Plus, we haven't created the ini.py, init.py, and the menu.py. If we create them and put them in this directory, because Nuke knows about this .nuke directory, it will detect the init.py and the menu.py, and it will execute the contents of those scripts. So let's create those. Here's the init.py, and it will get loaded before the menu.py. This Nuke will tell Nuke to invoke its Nuke class, and use the plugin add path to its environment. So we'll add the gizmos of this current directory, which is, we're going to be putting this init.py in the directory that is relative to this, the current directory. So it will add this to the path, and then it will add the icons to the path. So let's save this init.py file, save as, into our home directory. Nuke. So we'll put this here as init.py. And then we also have the menu.py. And I will put these in the notes or in the asset files for this week, so you have some template examples. This one's a little bit more complex, and I'll walk you through each part here. Import sys is importing the system module into the environment, and import nuke is importing the nuke module into the Python environment. Now it's creating a menu bar object instance or class instance by calling the nuke module and then the menu method with the argument nuke. So it knows that it's meant to go into the nuke menu. And then it will create a class instance called toolbar using the nuke toolbar method. And then we create our own menu entry here, menu, by calling toolbar and adding a menu called user gizmo with the icon gizmo.png. Now if we look in the directory that we created here, icons, there's the gizmo.png. So we've already put this in the path using the init.py, so it will be able to find this icons here, so we don't have to tell it the path to the icon. It will find it just based on its name alone. And then we are going to add a menu, a submenu to this, add command. So this will add an additional submenu to this toolbar menu called despill uncolor. This is the name of the menu entry, and then this is the command that it will invoke. And you'll notice this is the exact same command that we typed when we would hit X and start typing the name of the command to do a TCL command, or when we would hit Tab to get the gizmo. So it's using the name of the gizmo file, and you don't need to put .gizmo because it understands what you mean. And then we're also telling it to use a specific icon, which is the screen_suppress.png icon, which we also put in our icons directory here. So that's how this works. If you want to learn the real nuts and bolts of Python programming, it's way beyond the scope of this course, but Python is a fairly straightforward language to learn, and it's got a very clean class sort of model for object-oriented programming. It's one of the easiest programming languages to pick up object-oriented programming in, but it's going to be a little bit of a hurdle if you've never programmed before. Like I said, it's beyond the scope of this course to really go into all of the nuts and bolts of programming in Python, but I hope you can see here, it's doing quite a lot considering how much code is in here, and it probably seems a little opaque if you don't know any Python. If you do know some Python, this probably makes a lot of sense to you. So let's save this out now. Save as, and we'll put it into our home directory as well. So we have to go to the home directory .nuke, and we'll put this in menu.py. And now in order to make Nuke use this, we will have to refresh the environment. And the easiest way to do that is to just create a new instance of Nuke, to just reload Nuke basically. So we're loading up a fresh Nuke, and because Nuke's loading a whole new copy of itself, it will rescan its environment when it does this. Now you'll see we have a new menu item here. It looks kind of like a gizmo. I created an icon that looks a lot like a gizmo. And now I have a submenu called despill unspill color, which is our gizmo. And when we select that, it invokes that command to drop down our gizmo. So that's how you install a gizmo into a menu. It's a little tedious, but once you have the template set up, it should be fairly easy to add new menu items if you wanted to create a gizmo menu like this in your main toolbar. You could also conceivably create automation that would scan through in this menu.py, because this is invoking basically a full invocation of Python here. You could put some conditionals in here that would walk through the file system in your little subdirectory there and scan it and automatically add menu items based on all the files it found. And if you were disciplined and only added gizmos to that directory, you could build up the whole menu that way. But that would be a separate exercise.